How's it going, man?
Good stuff, man. Awesome, good stuff. Well, everybody out there, we are honored to have another international podcaster, as I like to say. Adam Lewis Walker is a leadership speaker, TEDx, 2 times best-selling author and coach. He hosts the top-ranked podcast, Awaken Your Alpha, interviewing the world's elite minds in over 380 episodes since early 2014. He also helps aspiring TEDx speakers to achieve their own talk through his TEDx Accelerator Program. From this work, he shares how to get a TEDx talk in the complimentary Talk Accelerator Podcast. Great stuff. I know we got a lot of people that are wanting to speak more. A former teacher and international pole vaulter. In 2008, Adam was attempting to reach the Olympics when his career was cut short by a freak accident. He hit rock bottom, and he had to rebuild his dreams and identity. And in 2013, he co-authored The New Rules of Success, sharing his no-nonsense approach to health, family, and leadership. The success of this best-selling book led to the creation of the podcast and Adam's quest to share inspirational stories, strategies, and insights to be the leader in your life. As a coach and mentor, he works to cultivate the mindset needed to accelerate excellence and fulfillment while getting results. As a speaker, Adam gave the TEDx Talk, Awaken Your Alpha, How to Rise Up, and has been featured on the Huffington Post, ESPN, PodFest, Influencers Ready, and many other media outlets. In 2018, Awaken Your Alpha, Tales and Tactics to Thrive became an international bestseller. And its October release. This book is based on the 5 years research from his podcast. He's a proud parent to Dylan and Harrison with his wife, Christina. Originally from West Sussex in the south of England, Adam recently achieved a lifelong dream moving his family to America. So I apologize. You are now an American podcaster, formerly from England.
I apologize.
Good to have you, man. How's it going today?
I apologize. Good. I apologize for giving you the long bio. Sorry about that. Even I was thinking, God, just stop. Just saying that. I'm sorry. That could have been half of that. Sorry. That's
you know what? We're done. We're done with your stuff. Everybody knows about you. We can go to the next guy. Right?
Apologies. What an idiot. There we go.
No, that's okay. So talk about it, because you built up your podcast. You're launching a new one, the Talk Accelerator. Awaken Alpha. You've got some really big things going. Has it kind of been blown you away with the success you've had, or is it kind of expected?
Definitely not blown away with the success. I feel probably like a lot of people. I'm a work in progress. I think we all are. I think you're doing awesome, mate. I'm always impressed whenever I come and in contact with you and see what you're up to. But no, I'm on a mission. The Awaken Your Alpha book, that was a big part of the mission. So I feel more relaxed that that's out. Been out for over a year or so. So that's good. But yeah, no, the Talk Accelerator podcast is a nice evolution and kind of feels a big creative edge that kind of come out of the Awaken Your Alpha journey with doing sort of a TEDx talk in 2016, and then I've been involved with another one in 2018. And people always ask me, how do you podcast? How do you TEDx? And I got marginally more excited with TEDx. I'm excited about all of the platforms, but I definitely noticed I get a bit more fired up, and it's such a evolving and interesting subject as well. And the TEDx events are just also different. So it's a real opportunity to help people there, and I'm always learning on that front as well.
Sure. What advice would you give somebody who's thinking about getting a TEDx talk or wants to do that? What's the first couple suggestions you would tell them to do, the first couple steps to get ready for it?
Well, this is a pitch session. I was actually just thinking, God, it sounds bad, but listen to the Talk Accelerator podcast would really help, and that's part of the reason I put it there. But first thing, do some research. One of the first things I do, usually just adjust people's expectations with, what it actually takes to get a TEDx talk, what the commitment level is, and the timelines as well. A lot of people say, I'm not ready. I'm not going to, I'll look into that when I'm ready. But, it's a realistic ambition. If you actively go after one, to get one within a year. And that's the kind of like 6 months, maybe to 18 months, depending on the timings of events and stuff. So I'd suggest don't wait. If it interests you, there's lots of information out there. Listen to something like the Talk Accelerator, because the idea with that is it's very unique. There isn't anything else like that out there in terms of I interview a TEDx speaker, a TEDx organizer for 18 minutes on the nose every week, and also we only talk about how to get a TEDx.
Right.
We don't go off into their story unless it's kind of woven in, but it's like very structured, like in a Percha Kucha kind of structure. Like we've got certain amounts of times, like pre-talk, talk, post-talk, applications. What would you do differently? What worked well? What didn't work well? Minor performance details. So unless you're into TEDx Talks, it would be the worst podcast for you to listen to, because it's just so like, and I like to go deep, because the Awaken Your Alpha podcast is my baby. And that's, that's more the, the holistic 30-minute interview about, it's got a structure, but, it's got more room to move in, and, interviewed, Olympic medalists, not billionaires yet, but half billionaires, Super Bowl winners, all sorts of people in there. And the Talk Accelerator just really digs into the one subject. And in a business sense, the TEDx or Talk Accelerator came after the process of working with people for well over a year. Mm-hmm. And that was a byproduct of one of the aspects of, for my clients, I actually go and interview Talks event organizers they're interested in getting on. And that's kind of like a nice bit of special sauce that I found over the last year or so.
Well, and that's the big thing. I know you've had people pushing you to start that Talk Accelerator, and you had it up. Should I do this? Should I not? And then like a bunch of us like, what are you thinking? Let me get the baseball bat to beat you. Or maybe, just a,
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. I was gutted when I was at the mastermind, and I was like, so what do you think about, should I have a podcast of this as well? And I was thinking, I've got I'm not attached to the idea. I'm like, because I've podcasted for so long. I'm like, the last thing I thought I wanted was another podcast. And everyone was like, yes, great idea. Yes. And I was like, damn. But it is really good and different. And obviously I've learned a lot over the last 6 years podcasting. So I'm very disciplined and regimented. It is what it is, as I said. I don't, it serves a good purpose before I even put it out there. And I'm well ahead on and recording. So I don't let it dominate too much time. And I've managed to focus on the clients and helping people get TEDx talks.
There you go. Good stuff. What's been the biggest surprise? I know you've had such great stuff happen to you, but what would you say has been the biggest surprise that's resulted from Awaken Your Alpha and then the new podcast, if there's been a different one on either one?
Biggest surprise for across the both of them, probably more the Awaken Your Alpha, is just being relentless and turning up for that amount of time, and just anyone who's getting going or like going through a tough spot it doesn't have to be a podcast in life or whatever they're doing. If it's important to you, just keep going. And even for something like Awaken Your Alpha, I mean, what it may, lack in certain areas, or you say, yeah, I'll do this differently second time round, longevity, the stats, I'm sure they've been repeated through loads of people for these sort of events, about how few people start a podcast and then how few people actually continue past 7 episodes, and then how few shows are actually actively putting out content. Yeah. And so for 6 years, you get into that smaller percentage off the bat. And even if you was doing everything wrong, you've got such a wealth of knowledge on what not to do. So, I'm not paying the confusion. And so then when you do go for say like a new podcast, it's completely different. They're just like chalk and cheese in terms of, and I like that. So yeah, there's just so many ways to do a podcast, set up a business. And I really say, think it through. So it fits for you, not for what someone's telling you is a great way to set it up necessarily. Take on board and, get advice, but then you've got to go with something that I always tell people that you believe you could sustain regardless whether it goes good or bad, for years, let alone, a couple of months.
Right. Do you think that your history as an athlete, professional athlete, and being dedicated and training and showing up on a daily basis like that has helped you sustain that longevity with the podcast? Because you're dedicated and diligent in your training, and you see the results from putting the time in the studio.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think it's definitely like the hockey stick improvement. Just when you think it's getting really tough, and there's been lots of times over the 6 years I've really questioned things, and you've thought of giving up and changing course, and obviously there's been adjustments. I think it's important to reassess and evolve. But then that's a lot of times that's when there's you've hit a plateau and there's a little push through if you can keep with it. But like you say, that dedication and sticking to one thing. I've got a lot better of being aware of the peripherals, because it's never exactly how you think. And it's important to not just have your head down and just bang out episodes willy-nilly, regardless of what's going on, because I could do that. Definitely. It's important to, smell and say, why you keep, ask you, why are you doing this? What's working well? What's not working so well? And not just sticking to something because you said you would. Because I very much, if I say I'm doing something. So I have to be aware that, that sometimes it's okay to reassess and think, okay, that's not working. There's a better way to do things and a different route to where you want to go.
Yeah, it's not always the easiest thing to admit that sometimes, but you have to take the step back and sometimes reevaluate your focus and the direction you're going and adjust it. But that's day-to-day entrepreneurship. You know what I mean? Have a focus on that. And that's the people think. What's the thing that you would say frustrates you the most with podcasts and everything? I know I'm hitting you with some questions you didn't.
No. I like it. I'm just, you can see the entrepreneurial journey of up and down. I'm not too frustrated at the moment. It's going good. I broke through recently, and it's going well. So, kind of answers your question, but I would say if anyone's got a podcast, always be ahead, because I always started out like 2 months ahead, and then I've been further ahead. I've been like right up to the wire, and doing the work, I suppose, like it's like life, depending on what you want to go after. The difference between being inspired and being pulled by inspiration to being pushed by desperation. And when you're recording an interview that day that's got to be out tomorrow morning, that is desperation. There's no way around it. And the 1 or 2 times I've done that was probably a good few years ago now. Obviously, the person cancelled on me on that night, and I literally was chasing around trying to find someone, because you've got different countries, you can still catch him, and it's horrible. But now I've gone the other way. And this is probably a bit too much, I'm recorded up till sort of October. But it's a good position to be in, because I'm like, you can be really picky, shielding. And some of my guests so far for Awaken Your Alpha this year, I had double Olympic medalist Jonathan Horton out today. Then the last guest was Gay Hendricks of the Big Leap. I'm not rushing around. I'm not looking for guests, but then organically come. So, and that's changed over the years from putting the reps in. That is tilted to me looking for guests, to opposed to now guests coming towards me and me having to still look within that what's the best fit, and having that time and space. It's definitely that's a nice change.
That's
awesome.
Answer
your question.
That's a great answer to it. Now let me ask you a question here. Since you're ahead a few months, you're still going to be recording. What's kind of what's your focus? What do you see 2020 holding for you?
Yeah. So big focus is the Talk Accelerator stuff. Definitely that's ongoing. And one thing, again, building into your business what you love to do as well. So as part of that, if anyone listens to that show, or they're listeners and they think they may have a TED Talk idea, I do offer idea clarity calls, 20-minute idea clarity calls. That's the best way to get into the nitty-gritty. Yes, there's there's certain steps that are generic that you need to do, and I have the online components and modules for that. But getting in and finding out what is that idea, and that's I enjoy to do that, honestly do. So, and them sessions are really helpful, whether that person goes on to work with me or not. I hope I just push them in the right direction, so they can either pursue a TEDx talk or actually hear kind of what's involved and get a bit more reality and think, actually, I don't want. I prefer that than kind of this and ahhing and the maybes for year. That frustrates me to see it in anyone, myself or anyone I come around to. So that's cool. And then the speaking side of things, naturally, if you've done TEDx talks and you've done some speaking at events, that's an area I'm looking to ramp up more and more. So I'm excited about that. And then with the Awaken Your Alpha podcast, having a men's only arena within that's kind of going to have some meetups and extra access to some training. And there's a big back catalog, I should say, of sort of master classes and video sessions that I haven't done with anything with over this time. So that's something that's always been there. And writing more books, or another book. It takes me a while. I don't churn out books in 3 months or so. So this year it'll be writing a book. It'll be out early next year. Is the plan.
Awesome, man. Awesome. What's the best way for people to get a hold of you, Adam, to talk with you, work with you, or connect with you?
Yeah, so Adam Lewis Walker and Awaken Your Alpha and Talk Accelerator on all social media. Generally, you will find me. Adam Lewis Walker, TEDx. Please go and check out my TEDx talk. You'll get very quickly in the first 3 minutes, you'll get a sense of me, or if you haven't here and you're either like me or not, either way is good and useful. See what I'm all about for event planners as well. And yeah, ayalpha.com/book, and you can find out about the book. I'd love you to check it out. Got really good reviews in that, and that was born out of 4 years of the podcast, the best interviews, and it's a structure. It's not just random interviews. It's sort of taken from that. And then TalkXcelerator.com has all the information about the podcast. You can listen to the free episodes. They're all free episodes in there to get some insight. And then obviously on there in the green button, you can book in for an idea clarity call if that floats your boat. But yeah, if you've got any questions, just reach out to me. Love to hear individual feedback on all and anything that was valuable.
Adam, thanks so much, man. Appreciate great knowledge. Congratulations on all the success. Congratulations on everything, and look forward to big things here taking place the rest of the year for you, man.
You too, man. Are you at New Media Summit?
No, I won't be making it out there. I'm headed to PodFest the weekend before.
I wanted to go PodFest. It's my little boy's 7th birthday right on PodFest day, so I'm gutted because I've been a few years since I haven't got back to that. So
you better be a good dad. PodFest will be
exactly, yeah. Well, I'll catch up with you soon, definitely this year, man. But I'm speaking to you next week, I think, as well.
Yep, exactly. We'll see you later, Adam. Thanks.
Okay, cheers, guys.
All right, good stuff.